I am the Smug-Looking Barrel. A couple of people have asked me to show a video of the builds, so I was initially reluctant because I used very specific builds for maximum damage output, and I wouldn't recommend using those builds elsewhere, but I eventually decided to just show both. So, first of all, we're going to go through the builds I actually used to one-shot the Legendary Keepers. First monster is Beataloid. Or it chose Beataloid because it has some of the best auras in the game, so on the first turn, it can support the team without needing to use its own action. So the important skills here: multi-sorcery, shared sorcery, critical sorcery will help apply the buffs, and then buff charging and revenge in combination with leadership will help apply charge stacks, which we also have charge amplifier that can make them stronger, and then Chain Lightning will help a little bit with Shock. So the next monster is Glodra. This Glodra build, again, is very specifically to attack with the knowledge that I'm going to be doing 2 attacks this entire time. So you see, I have double Overcast for more damage, I have Static for more damage, and I don't have enough mana to regularly attack. But Glodra has a... Glodra's ultimate, Solar Blaze, is one of the best ultimates in the game. It builds good combo, and it applies sorcery, and we have Burning Heat, Multi-Shock, and Breaking spells that allow it to apply debuffs, and then we can get buffs with Mystify, and if we get sorcery, we can share it with Shared Sorcery. As well, we have Sorcerer to apply it again. So after, and then the rest of his skills are focused on improving our damage output as much as we can, and getting a little bit of toughness where we can. After that, we have Spinner, and once again, this Spinner is optimized to exactly click level 2 Sticky Web and wipe teams on the first turn. So we have double Critical Edge for charge stacks, that'll help with the second turn, and we have double Variety, which stack together for a 32% damage increase to our Sticky Web. We have Crit Chance Focus, and a whole bunch of crit stuff to get as high damage as possible. So, going over the equipment now, Beataloid has Fishing Rod to get that extra buff, 2 different items that can provide it charge stacks, so it can share those with leadership, and Pandora's Box for the chance of getting a sorcery buff. Glodra has Bow, which gives it an extra hit. Ancestral Metal will give it just extra charge stacks and damage. Needle gives it the mana it needs to use its 2 attacks, and Mage Flask is just for more damage. Spinner has Scythe, the best weapon for a hybrid damage dealer, Great Pearl, of course, Fang, and we're skipping an item worth of crit because we have Critical Sorcery to get the massive damage boost from Ancestral Metal. So next up, this is a more standard team with these 3 monsters. Beataloid, we see, is fairly similar, but I have max level Arcane Shield. This is a great skill to apply to your damage dealer to keep them alive and buff them. Glodra has, you see, it no longer has Overcast, it no longer has Static, but in return it has almost twice as much HP. So this will be much more consistent to be able to sustain itself through a long game and continue applying those buffs, continue building combo for you. And Spinner, we still have the level 2 Sticky Web, we still have most of the damage skills, but we've gotten the last level in all of our attacks to be able to have coverage for different enemies. And then equipment for these. Beataloid is running a much more defensive build. We have Hide for the defense. Glodra, we're running Scepter to get mana. Pandora's Box, once again, to get some extra buffs. Glodra can share them, and it has Buffing Shield. Crown is a really good mix of stats for Glodra, and I run Shield Generator with 576 mana. It's a very solid shield every turn. And Spinner, we've swapped out Ancestral Metal for a Fin, which gives us more consistent crit and some health. Alright, next up we'll look at the debuff team. So we're starting with Fungi. Fungi is one of the best combo builders for a debuff team because it has access to the combination of Curse Chain and Proliferate, along with multiple skills that can apply debuffs on hit. So the way this works is, let's say we use Beating, we trigger Toxin to apply a poison, and that gives us an extra hit. And that extra hit has a chance to apply Toxin again, and as a result, we can cascade out of control, just getting more and more debuffs, which give us more hits, which can prop more debuffs. After that, we're getting every passive we can that can give us more debuffs. We're taking passives to increase our damage, sensitivity. Fungi can apply weakness with Weakening Crush or the latent effect of its ultimate, so sensitivity gives us more damage. Dominance gives us more damage for every debuff on the enemy. This is one of the things that makes this team work, is Fungi has 2 instances of it. And then we get the attack and magic just to have it, to get a little bit of a damage bonus. One thing we do not get is Poison Nerves. This is great in a regular team, but if you're attempting to one-shot your enemy, they'll never get a chance to regenerate mana. Next up is Grulu. It has a similar idea, where it's trying to attack to trigger Proliferate from debuffs, which will trigger Proliferate again. So we're using Solar Burst as our attack because it has 3 hits, and each of them can trigger our on-debuff effects. While Grulu doesn't have double dominance, what it does have, it has regeneration support, so it can apply regeneration whenever it applies a debuff and stack and share it, and that can keep your team alive during the one turn the enemy gets to counterattack you. It also has corrosion, which can increase your debuff damage in case you need to knock something out through Phoenix Affinity, or just do that last little bit of damage. Finally, this monster was not available when I made the original video, but this is one of the best debuff damage dealers in the game. It has Death Blow, which gives it 5% increased damage for each debuff on the target. It can gain Glory whenever it applies a debuff, and once again it can stack and share it. It has Bleed and Deep Wounds, and level 3 Shred, which gets bonus crit damage. So for equipment, the equipment on this team is very important. Fungi runs Bow, and all 3 items that give you a chance on hit to apply a debuff. These are very important because, as we said, Proliferate can trigger all of these debuffs, and those can trigger Proliferate again. Grulu runs the same, but it runs Cauldron. It needs a little bit of mana regeneration, so it gets it from Cauldron, and that will increase the damage of all of our debuffs. Finally, Rampede runs Katana. Since it's a pure physical damage dealer, it runs Grey Pearl, Cape, and Fin for the extra crit. Next up, a more traditional aggressive debuff team. Generally, you won't be knowing that you're going first, and as a result, you'll want a whole bunch of toughness, so this Fungi has all of the health and defense nodes it can. It also has Poison Nerves, and it's running Leaf Slash instead of Beating, because while Leaf Slash has higher potential if everything is going your way, or Beating rather does, Leaf Slash can't be dodged, and that is very helpful in a lot of matchups where the enemy teams have buff support. Grulu looks pretty similar. We've cut the 2 magic pluses in order to get more health and defense, and we're also running level 3 Acid Tempest. This costs less mana than Solar Burst, so in situations where you can't use the max level Solar Burst, you often can use Acid Tempest. And it also, is a different element, which is nice, and can naturally apply Armor Break. And our damage dealer, I wanted to show you a different one, is Troll, who is an excellent damage dealer for debuff teams. It also has Death Blow, it has Dominance, and it also has Initial Armor Break and Broken Immunity. This works very well because you can, Troll will, at the start of the fight, apply Armor Break to a random enemy, and that will increase your Fungi's chances of applying debuffs to that enemy. So, in terms of equipment, same equipment on Fungi and Grulu, and Troll doesn't run crit at all. It runs Heavy Mace to increase its non-critical damage, and then Ancestral Metal Warrior Flask are the 2 best physical attack boosting items, and Dumbbell gives us attack, health, and a chance to receive some extra buffs. Alright, and finally we have the Adopt a Monster team. Krakatturtle is a shielder, and in general it's a monster based off different passives triggering each other. So it can use Fire Shield to apply burn and different shielding. That shielding can trigger Barricade. The burn can grant regeneration. It can share that regeneration and stack additional ones, and the regeneration buffs and barrier it applies can apply even more debuffs. When it applies burn, that can apply shield, and that can trigger our Barricade again. All of these shields are multiplied by Copy Shield, and that does trigger any on-shield skills an additional time. It also has Incinerate, so it can apply Armor Break with its burn, and that can trigger Remunerate again. If it applies a debuff, it also gets Saboteur Shield, that can trigger its shielding skills. So all these skills just work well together, and the total package is just very efficient. And of course, we're running Debuff Mastery to really just make the engine run more efficiently. Next up is Aurum Tail. Aurum Tail is built around this skill here, Glitter, which gives more damage and damage reduction to the whole team with how many gold senses we have. Aurum Tail has 4 of them, so that's 20% damage and damage reduction. And it also has Potion Mastery and Wonder Potion, which means that when it uses a potion, it will heal the whole team and apply buffs and remove debuffs. So that allowed it to keep the team healthy and keep buffs up. It also has Shield and Shield Burst for if it doesn't need to do any healing that turn, and it can apply more buffs with Augmented Shielding. And for the shift passive, we're of course going with Blacksmithing for more damage and toughness to the whole team. Cat Zerker is the monster whose build I changed the most. I very often switched its primary active skill to whatever we were fighting, so I thought instead I'd show you just a standard build. The biggest thing to note about Cat Zerker, it has 2 instances of Precision, and it has Sure Strike, so it's getting 50% extra crit chance on the first hit of its attack. As a result, our main attack is level 2 Long Slash, which does 1 hit on all enemies, and then we're taking all the damage buffs we can for it. We're taking Double First Impact, Bleed, we're taking Heroism, we're taking Heroic Party, we're taking Critical Mass to get more buffs, we're taking Hybrid Mastery and Assault Mastery to make our attacks hit even harder, and then we're taking a bunch of Crit and Severe Hit to punish healing. As for equipment, so Krakaturtle is running a fairly standard setup. We're using Hide and Crown. These are the 2 best defensive items in the game, and Spark works well with Krakaturtle. It has defense focus and needs a bit of mana regeneration, and then our weapon is Hexing Rod, and that just makes all the debuffs run more smoothly. Aurum Tail, we're running Purifying Mace. That's this team's only way to remove harmful stacks, and a lot of the legendary keepers use harmful stacks. We're just running the 3 best defensive accessories. And for Cat Zerker, we're running a very low amount of crit chance. So we have 40%, but we have some of the best damage multipliers in the game. And that's because I'm planning to get 10% from a Glory buff, and then we get 15% from Sure Strike and Double Precision, which will bring us up to 100% on that Long Slash.